Trump was not well served by those around him last night. But I'm telling you, even for me, and I voted for Donald Trump last week, it was too brotastic. Okay? It was. You're trying to win an election in which you're hemorrhaging female voters. You effed up.
Donald Trump is defending his wildly controversial MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden, but somebody who isn't is top Trump supporter and major conservative political commentator Megyn Kelly, who publicly unloaded on the Trump campaign for their foolishness. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we got a couple of clips to look at in this video. As you know, over the weekend, Donald Trump hosted a rally at Madison Square Garden in his home state of New York, in New York City. And I imagine this was a major vanity project for Trump, who has to know on some level that he's not going to win New York. A lot of MAGA Republicans say, oh, New York's a swing state. Donald Trump is down in New York by, I think, 15 points. He will almost certainly lose it. It would be, in an improbability of the highest proportions for Trump to win New York. So this was purely a vanity project for Trump to say that he sold out Madison Square Garden. The controversy surrounding this rally may have done him more harm than good, particularly surrounding Tony Hinchcliffe, a controversial comedian who made incendiary comments or jokes about Puerto Rico, which may have electoral consequences for Trump. We'll get into that. But Trump is doubling down despite the incendiary rhetoric from multiple speakers, including Tucker Carlson, and he apparently thinks it's a good idea. So I want you to hear what Donald Trump has to say about that rally, and then we'll get into what Megyn Kelly has to say, and she's very pissed.
I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room, it was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in, but politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? In 1939, the Nazis, they would. But how terrible to say, right? Because, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love.
So it's like when he talks about January 6th was a day of love, right? It's absurd. Like most people who reviewed the Madison Square Garden performance there, the Trump rally, it was filled with vitriol and hate. Right? High energy, to be sure. There was a level of cultishness there that I suppose Trump in his own deranged way can be proud of, but it was certainly not loving. That was the whole point. That was what generated so much controversy, so many incendiary, hateful remarks about Trump's fellow Americans. Somebody who noticed that was Trump voter, Trump supporter, and major political commentator, conservative, former Fox News host, Megyn Kelly, and she unloaded on the Trump campaign. And if I had to deduct points for anything, it's again that Megyn Kelly, like Ben Shapiro and other conservative commentators, are too audience captured to actually blame the person who is truly responsible, which is Trump himself. Instead, she unloads on the Trump campaign and Trump advisors for this disastrous rally.
Trump was not well served by those around him last night. It wasn't a Nazi rally. All that's nonsense. But I'm telling you, even for me, and I voted for Donald Trump last week, it was too brotastic. Okay? It was. You're trying to win an election in which you're hemorrhaging female voters. Maybe when you present in front of hundreds, thousands at least, at Madison Square Garden, you clean up the bro talk just a little so you don't alienate women in the middle of America who are already on the fence about Republicans. Do they have no women advising their campaign? Is there no actual woman sitting behind the scenes, coming up with the guest lineup and saying, let's just have a word with the guys who are going to be speaking about this isn't the bar. This isn't their living room. This is a campaign. This is politics. We're trying to get him elected. We don't need to rally the base or guys anymore. And it's not helpful, even if we do want to rally the base or guys, to go full off-color insults to different racial groups and so on. I get it. Trust me, nothing that was said offended me. I'm almost unoffendable. But I understand how this plays especially with women. And it was an effed up choice. They took what was an amazing celebration of Trump, exciting and well attended and hugely enthusiastic, and gave themselves a big black eye. This isn't about the insane media, which did, of course, what the insane media is going to do. This is about them giving the insane media all these headlines that undermined the main man, Donald Trump, who did exactly what he should have last night. You effed up. Hopefully you'll do better in the closing week of the campaign.
Yeah, so Megyn Kelly recognizes that this is a close election that Trump may lose, and she wants Trump to win, right? This is not, a lifelong liberal who has principled objections to what was said at the MAGA rally at Madison Square Garden. She doesn't care. She just recognizes that this could have a deleterious impact on Trump's prospects of winning the election. And this election, according to the data, is so perilously close that may very well be true. And Megyn Kelly has also, give her credit here, said for months, if not years, that Trump has a serious woman issue, that women in this country do not like Donald Trump. So much is made, we talk about this double standard, because it is true that Vice President Harris and the Democrats are struggling to court male voters and men. It's true. And that's a problem that Democrats need to address, because they should also be serving the interests of men as well. Perfectly valid criticism to make. But Donald Trump's issues with women are actually bigger than the Democratic Party's issues with men, and relatively little attention is paid to what's going on in the Republican Party. Megyn Kelly would probably like it that way, in the sense that, she wants to focus more on the problems of the Democrats and the Republicans. But this problem may cost Trump the election. So it's a big freaking deal to Megyn Kelly and to anybody who is smart and genuinely wants Trump to win. I hope he loses. So I'm perfectly content with Trump continuing to alienate women. But as a political scientist, it's correct for Megyn Kelly to sound the alarm about this, as she has done in time and time again. Donald Trump, it's not just his rhetoric. It's also obviously a big one is abortion. The fact that Donald Trump is not the only, but the single greatest reason that reproductive rights are under assault in this country, and that women across the country are so pissed off by that, including in red states. And we see this in ballot referenda when reproductive rights are on the ballot, even in Ohio, even in Kansas, even in Kentucky, these red states, Republicans lose by stark numbers, because it's that much of a losing issue for them, that even in the deepest of red states, if it comes down to popular vote, they'll lose. CBS and YouGov has talked about this asymmetry, this hemorrhaging of women, the gender gap. Again, there's an issue for men too with the Democrats, but we're going to focus on what Megyn Kelly has to say, because she's worried that this rally has alienated women voters. So yes, Trump leads Kamala Harris 54-45 to men, but again, that margin is bigger. According to YouGov CBS, 55% of women support Kamala Harris, whereas only 43% support Trump. And not only are women a majority in this country, there are more women in this country than men. Women vote more reliably than men. So on paper, Trump's problem is just objectively more dangerous to his electoral prospects. This is what Megyn Kelly is talking about. I should also say other interesting things here. When you look at the gender gap, have the mental and cognitive health to serve as president? 41% of men say only Kamala Harris does. And what's interesting is, even though Trump commands greater loyalty from men as a general proposition, only 36% say that Donald Trump alone has the mental and physical health to be president. More men, who generally are more loyal to Trump anyway as a voting bloc, more men think that only Harris is mentally fit to be president compared to Trump. That's an indictment of the highest order. Whereas 51% of women think that only Kamala Harris does, and only 30% of women think that only Donald Trump does. Only 12% of women think that both of them do. Only 7% say neither of them do. So again, this is staggering stuff. It really is. This is why Megyn Kelly is freaking out. This is why Megyn Kelly is like, somebody should have consulted a woman before, unveiling this damn rally. I don't know if it's going to have an impact on the 2024 election, but it may very well. It could, especially with the backlash surrounding Tony Hinchcliffe's Puerto Rico jokes in particular. But yeah, I love it. It says something. about this miscalculation, this disconnect, this cognitive dissonance, that Megyn Kelly, of all people, this close to the election, is sounding the alarm, because otherwise, again, she is full bore for Trump. She wants Trump to win. So I imagine it doesn't make her feel very good that she feels the need to reprimand publicly the Trump campaign. But she did. And I think she makes a pretty compelling point. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.